So insulin resistance is a spectrum like autism, which I might be on, but I may or may not be self-diagnosed.
Hey, I'm Jessica Goins. I'm a nurse practitioner and owner of Optum Life Health in Dallas, North Carolina. And this is my husband, Bradley Goins, co-owner of Goins Strong Fitness that we started together in 2017. So we're going to briefly talk today about insulin resistance and how important that is. So do you want to maybe start?
About what insulin resistance is first?
Yeah, do it.
All right. So insulin resistance is a spectrum like autism, which I might be on, but I may or may not be self-diagnosed. But insulin resistance.
Well, you took that one test anyway.
Yeah, it was an online test. Insulin resistance is like, you'll go to the doctor. It's basically like if you're diabetic, you're insulin resistant, right?
Yes.
You've hit a threshold, but you can be insulin resistant long before you're ever diagnosed with diabetes.
So what is it? Your cells are
So
not resistant?
so insulin resistance is basically cellular dysfunction where your body, because of your lifestyle and you're constantly bombarding your body with processed foods and sedentary lifestyle, that your cells become inflamed in a way where insulin can't interact with the cells anymore.
Yep, so you're eating sugar and it's not
Right.
getting properly...
Right, so you'll eat, your body releases insulin, your cells are resistant to the insulin because it can't
and then
made
it's having
up,
to
it
produce
can't.
more insulin in response.
Right, so your
for
body
what
produces,
what
so
it
you're,
used to
right.
be able to do, so it could utilize, put those, the glucose into the muscles, into the liver, store it. But
Right.
what happens is it's not doing that effectively anymore because it's become resistant, and so we're getting that stored as fat now. And
Right.
so
And
it
people-
can show up way before the person is overweight.
And then at that point, you don't process the carbs you do eat very well. And so people think they have this issue with carbs. It's like, well, no, your issue with carbs is that you're insulin resistant because of your lifestyle. Like people like me who weight train and very insulin sensitive, I can eat 300 carbs a day and not have a problem.
Right.
I just stay the same leanness. So but it's just about getting your body in a good metabolic position where you're more insulin sensitive to process things
So you don't
better.
even have to be like way overweight. I tell you, if you you do have a lot of body fat to lose, and I guarantee you have some level of insulin resistance, but it starts way before that. They're usually looking at an A1C, which is just, your average blood sugar levels over the past 2 to 3 months. Who cares? We need a fasted insulin.
Yep.
We need to know, after you have not eaten, for some period of time, overnight, and you go get that blood checked. If there is too much insulin in the blood, it's like, hey, why is that still there? That should not that level of insulin should be there. And that tells you that you have insulin resistance.
Right.
And you need to go ahead and attack it before you develop diabetes. And you can have an A1C that's low, A1C that's low, and a fasted insulin that's high.
Right, and the fasted insulin is in the blood floating around because it can't interact with the cells.
Right.
That's why if your fasted insulin is high, it means it's not interacting with the cells, and so it's just floating around. Your insulin, you shouldn't have much fasted insulin.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You shouldn't have much insulin in your bloodstream when you wake up in the morning.
When you haven't eaten.
And you haven't eaten anything.
Unless you woke up in the middle of the night and snuck something. You should.
And you slept, walked, and ate a sandwich.
So you could have an A1C like 4.9. But you could have a fasted insulin like 20.
Yeah, you've seen that in blood work.
I've seen it personally, and you're like, whoa.
Whereas mine actually, because I eat a lot of carbs and the way that I train, you'll see this with like people who have more of a bodybuilding lifestyle. Mine was 5.5, which is like just under that pre-diabetic. It's 5.6, I think it's pre-diabetic, right?
5.7.
5.7.
Yeah.
So, but 5.5, a lot of people look at that as getting elevated. You're getting close. But my fasted insulin was less than 2.
Right. Right.
Or like not detectable, which means my body is very insulin sensitive and it's processing everything that I eat very well.
Right.
So it's not really something that I'm worried about.
So I guess the point is so when somebody comes in we see that they have a high fasted insulin, what do? Well, usually I start them on a supplement called berberine.
Right.
That helps, with blood.
But it's just a supplement.
Yeah, it's just a supplement. Number one is diet, right?
Right.
Number one is diet. Well, first we have that big talk, right?
People need to understand, supplement means it supplements
Yeah.
something. It doesn't mean that it does everything for you.
Right.
So people forget that.
Yeah. So we have the major talk about diet.
Right.
Obviously, and first. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. But
it's fine.
But that's what we're doing in here.
But berberine's a powerful tool.
So we're doing diet 100% because it's lifestyle. But berberine is a very powerful supplement when used correctly. It's not helping you if you're not eating right though. It's just not really bad.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's like people take metformin and go eat cheeseburgers and buy milkshakes.
So it's helping with your insulin sensitivity. It's even has some anti-inflammatory, properties, whatever. It's really good tool, but it's not just that. We've checked the whole panel. We've looked at their inflammatory markers elsewhere. Right. We've looked at their lipid panel. We've looked at their vitamin levels. At that point, we know that insulin resistance is the start of metabolic dysfunction. So
yes,
we check everything anyway. But we're like, if you have insulin resistance, we know that we've got to nip that in the bud because we do not want diabetes. If you have diabetes, people are like, oh, I have diabetes. Like it's nothing.
Yeah, you're going to die sooner.
Literally, diabetes is what you don't
cancer.
want. It affects your eyes, it affects your heart, it affects your kidneys, it affects your feet. It literally affects everything in your body. It's that important.
Creates an acidic environment within the blood, right?
Right.
Over time. So you're staying in this state where your body is in this mild acidosis state that you don't want to be in, right? And it's toxic to the body.
Right.
And so you have degenerative things. And then all the studies show that the more insulin resistant you are, obviously I said it was a spectrum, the higher you go with that, right? Diabetes,
right.
There's levels to it, but the further you go along, the higher your risk of heart attack, cardiovascular disease.
Right.
And the reason is because insulin resistance leads to high inflammation levels in the body too.
Right.
Which is why we look at it as more as, that's really one of the main, it's probably the main driver for cardiovascular disease.
Right.
Endothelial function. So if your blood vessels and arteries are inflamed, right, they're going to be more likely to collect cholesterol.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not just the cholesterol. Cholesterol by itself, no big deal, right? It's like, as long if you don't have much inflammation and all your other markers are good, it's like let's not worry too much about it. But like, if you got high triglycerides, high inflammation levels, and your LDL's through the roof,
right.
probably got some high coronary artery risk,
right.
In the future if you don't nip that in the bud. So the way I think we look at it is, if you can attack insulin resistance, everything else
you're gonna fix
it's
fixable. Like you can
you're going to lower the risk of you having any of those metabolic diseases.
Right. So
as low as possible.
Let's talk. So besides, we said diet's number one.
Correct.
Okay, and like the specific supplements, of course. What in diet's number one?
Protein.
Protein.
It's always protein.
So that's going to help with blood sugar control, right?
And hunger.
Like, yes, so you keep that protein super high. That's going to make your blood sugars more controlled. It's going to make you not as hungry so soon. Like you can't just eat a banana or wake up, say, I ate a banana today. Well, no, you have
protein.
to have protein. So we focus on protein, controlling those blood sugars. We focus on exercise. We focus on sleep. Like because it's not one thing.
Yeah, you gotta sleep.
All of those things together, and just total body optimization. Honestly, like I said, we're checking those inflammatory markers. We're checking lipid panel. We're checking the vitamins because it all goes hand in hand. Right. So we don't just come in and say, oh, we're just gonna check your insulin resistance, like with the fasted insulin. I'm literally like, you can come in, you can tell me, I just had my blood work done. That's fine. Let me see it.
No, let me see it.
And I'll see your CBC, your CMP, maybe your lipids if you were fasted, and maybe a TSH, which is one thyroid marker, and if I'm lucky, a vitamin D or vitamin B12, maybe an A1C. So we we just go ahead and get everything else we need. We get the sex hormones, we get the inflammatory markers, we get other vitamins. Let's see, what am I leaving off? I mean, we literally, there's so many
magnesium,
things.
zinc levels.
Yeah, there's so many things that we get.
Selenium.
So that way I'm not just focused on insulin resistance, right? Insulin resistance is huge, and of course I'm focused on that, but I'm focused on everything all at once, because you can do that.
But looking at it collectively.
Right, exactly.
Because nothing happens in a vacuum, right? Well, my hormones are messed up. Okay, cool, but yeah, let's go back and look. Like now, you got high inflammation levels.
That's why people
you have mineral deficiencies, and
they're
it's
coming
like
in for the hormone optimization, and what's happening?
you realize that you have all these deficiencies that have been unaddressed for many years. Yeah, if you're a man with low testosterone or a woman with dysregulated, I mean, it gets a little complicated, but like if a woman when they hit menopause is going to have issues
we'll do
anyway.
A whole another video on hormones.
But like let's say a 30-year-old man comes in, he's got low T.
Right.
I guarantee you he's got low vitamin D, low zinc, low magnesium. He's got multiple things probably that's low. Probably poor sleep hygiene. Right. When I say low, I mean like if he's real low. I think a lot of people in today's lifestyle in this world,
it is like
it's lower than it was 50 years ago. That's pretty well established in the science, and people are struggling with that. Now our lifestyles are stressful,
right?
And there's a lot of mineral deficiencies. People, the way that we eat, we're on the go. We're not cooking our own food anymore.
We're not even eating organ meat or like the liver. We're not eating stuff, any of that stuff.
Because like around here, when we was growing up, it's like, what was breakfast? Liver mush, egg, cheese. I might eat a liver mush, egg, and cheese. We still do sometimes. But people don't like that stuff. But there's a lot of goodness in those foods. It's not nonsense.
So I guess we'll make this video short.
Yeah.
But to wrap it up, when insulin resistance is a major thing, it's very huge. I feel like
probably number one.
President Trump, very big.
Very big, very important.
Very important.
Huge.
If you are concerned that you haven't had a fasted insulin checked on yourself, we'd be more than happy to do that. Or if you have a provider that you trust, ask them, check your fasted insulin. It's easily available to them to do. And pair that with some other systemic markers like CRP, things like that. You can really find out a lot what's going on with yourself. But yeah.
You still could get pushback if you ask for that.
You still, but
they want to understand why you asking for that.
So if you're concerned you have it, just start eating better, focusing on protein and cutting out the processed stuff. You have questions about that, come see us at Optimum Life or Going Strong Fitness. And as always,
both, because it's a team.
Yeah, it's a team. We are happy to
help. I'm happy to help.
Okay.